Welcome to the Spilled Ink and Coffee Show, where we take book discussions to a new level.
We don't just read books, we interview them, journal about them, sip coffee, spill thoughts, and explore stories on and off the page.
Grab a cup and get cozy, because every book deserves a great conversation.
This week, you get a bonus episode as we celebrate Women's History Month, March 2025. Rachel's pick from the Goodreads Challenge, The Dressmakers of Auschwitz.
This is The Dressmakers of Auschwitz by Lucy Adlington. It was an audio nonfiction. HarperCollins again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Check out the publisher for To Kill a Mockingbird.
Is that also Harper? Girl.
I know.
You're on a Harper
Not
kick.
planned. Not planned.
Wow. Wow. They're putting out some good stuff then. So that's, kudos to Harper. A 4-star rating. And while I peruse, let us know what made you pick up this book.
It was a Goodreads challenge for the month of March because March is International Women's Month, and International Women's Day, I think, was the 8th or 9th. I can't remember. I should know that. And so anyway, the challenge was to read a nonfiction book about strong women. This was the book I picked from the series of Goodreads. Of all the Goodreads books, I thought this looked pretty interesting because I had never heard of dressmakers at Auschwitz before.
Same.
That in all the history and books and stories, I've not heard of this, so it kind of drew my attention that way. And I wanted to read about strong women during Women's History Month.
And I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
So what were your first thoughts about this when you started reading?
So, and I did put this in my review. My first thoughts were, this isn't what it was supposed to be. I felt like I wasn't learning anything about the dressmakers of Auschwitz. Like, I thought going into this book, it was going to be about Auschwitz and the dressmakers.
In fashion?
Yeah, because there was a fashion house at Auschwitz, and
This I did know.
And these women, these dressmakers, that is actually how they survived. Is because they were making dresses for the SS women and the SS wives.
Who were the designers? I know this might be a little off topic, or maybe they did mention it in a book, but were the Auschwitz women also the designers or just the fabricators?
They were the designers and the fabricators.
So these SS women are actually wearing the Auschwitz's women's,
yes,
full on,
yes,
drawn out,
yes,
high fashion design.
Because it talks in the book that a lot of these women were trained seamstresses, and several of them worked in fashion houses in Paris, Chanel. One woman went on to work in Dior, and then some other had their own stores and fashion houses in Czechoslovakia and what turns into Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia and Hungary.
So what you're telling me is that the women of, I'm going to surmise this in layman's terms. This is Hitler, the Nazis. Thank you.
Auschwitz is in Poland.
Thank you. So the women of the political leaders of the Nazi realm.
Third Reich.
So the women of the bad people.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're going to go with this. The women of the bad people have the audacity to say, hey, here's an opportunity for us to put all of the best Chanel designers together and make them for free, work their asses off so they can live, so we can look extra more beautiful than ever at no cost to us.
Yeah.
So, these are other women, though, not supporting women.
Correct.
And they were okay with this? Do we get that point of view?
The
bad women of the bad people. Does anybody feel for these?
Nobody feels for them. Every once in a while, they'll throw in a random, so-and-so's wife gave the girls extra pastries. But No, you don't know. There, and the nice thing, not nice, at the end of the book, they do go over as much as they know how the SS women and SS wives, what their fate was, as far as if they were tried at Nuremberg, if they tried to escape, if they had any sort of penalty. So that is, I mean, you do get that at the end of the book.
They tell you what happened to all the bad women. Listen,
that they know of. Yes.
Listen, girls, it is a women's month. Okay, be kind to each other, uplift each other, be each other's best supporters, fight for each other at all of the injustices. I'm not usually like, high feminist, but how can a person live with themselves like that? And I know I gave men a pass because they're stupid. Women, we are so much smarter than men, and you know this. And if you don't feel like a smart woman right now and you're listening to this, know that you are strong and that you have a brain between those ears, and you are amazing, and you do all the good things, and find yourself a woman buddy that's going to help you.
And I think that's the key with this one is it was one woman who was plucked out, at Auschwitz, and she plucked this one and plucked this one, and this one took her sister, and this one took her cousin, and this one took her neighbor, and oh wait, this is my neighbor's 12-year-old daughter who really can't sew, but we're going to try to find a way to save her. And so it was this group of women that came together to protect themselves in this hell on earth that they were going through. And that's what I thought the book was going to be about. And so I was a little frustrated in the beginning because I was like, no, it's supposed to be about this. All they're doing is telling me about these women. All they're doing is telling me about them before the war and telling me about their lives and what they did. And then by the time I got probably the last, 75% of the way through the book, that's when I realized, oh, that's the whole point of this book. We're not focusing on the horror. I mean, yes, the horror is there, I would say, about...
But you needed to know these women had real lives.
These are real women who, this is who they were before the war. These are the people they were. These were human beings. These were people. These were the lives they lived that were ripped away from them. And this is how, because of who they were, this is how they were able to survive. And this is what happened after. And this is how they survived after. Now, not all of them survived. And it does talk about that. But that's what it took me, like most of the book, to kind of come to the realization that, we're telling the story of this quote unquote fashion salon in a concentration camp, but it's really the story of the individual women. And that's what made it kind of resonate a little bit more, because if not, it would just be another horrible story about a horrible place and a horrible time and horrible humans.
Did this get picked up for movie?
I don't know.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
But just the story, the fact that it took me a minute to recognize that we're telling the stories of women here.
So it's a historical nonfiction.
It's historical nonfiction.
Okay. So who was your favorite character and why? Because there's a lot of women to choose from.
There's a lot.
It might not have been a woman either. I'm sure there were men in this book.
There were men. I would say probably there's the character Braca.
Great name.
She wasn't the leader of the salon, but she was kind of the tie that binds. Like, she was the one who she connected all the lines. Like, she was the one, everybody was somehow connected through her. And she
knew to bring them together.
And she lost everything. I mean, she lost her sisters who were there with her, who she was trying so hard to protect. She lost her whole family back home. It's like, talk about them all, their journey after getting out of Auschwitz and going home and having nothing there, because their neighbors took everything that was in their house and wouldn't give it back. Or there was someone else took over that, and yet they persevered. And Braca was actually the last living member of the group. She passed away in 2017.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of it is kind of told, like, she's the cornerstone of all this. So it was, yeah.
Holy smokes. It's so deep.
It was heavy. It was heavy.
Yeah, but that's okay. Did a book make you think differently about anything? She's just shaking her head like, yes, I'm questioning all of life.
Anytime I read a book about the Holocaust,
how did anybody ever let that happen?
How did we let that happen? There's things that, because it again, a lot of the book deals with the lead up to the deportation and the imprisonment. So I don't know how you can't read something like that and not see similarities in things that happen now in different parts of the world without trying to get too political. Yeah, it's scary.
Which is the last thing you said, which was anti-Semitism. Wow.
It wasn't just the obvious anti-Semitism of the Holocaust, but the after effect that, they would go, like, they have endured hell and have somehow survived and get back home to a place where they lived their entire lives before the Holocaust, and their neighbors are saying, gosh, I wish, Hitler had done a better job. And it's like, and that's not even in Germany, that's in Hungary.
Right.
So it's like, where is the humanity and the compassion that this is how we're going to feel about not only a human, but a group of people who have endured this, and that's the response. So that's how I ended my review.
But what you just said opens up like a whole thing of conversation, which I would love to have with you, but I know that that's not going to happen today, is where is the humanity? And in my mind, that got lost a long time ago. Have you read anything else by this author?
I have not.
Does she only write historical nonfiction?
Yes. And
okay.
The author read the audio.
Okay. Did you listen to that?
I did. And
does she have a nice voice?
She does. She has a beautiful British accent.
Ooh, okay. So that probably made it even more intense. And then some of the questions I'm not even going to go to because you've pretty much covered in the review. We are going off the rails right now with a weird ass question, because if this book was written as a terrible reality TV show, what would the premise be? Now, mind you, we do have Squid Games now.
Yeah.
So, and in the non-reality version, those people were shot and killed for real for not guessing the cookie correct or doing the scraping the shape out. Like,
I would say almost like a survivor.
Ah, okay.
Because you're still in a team trying to survive, but there's still somebody who's trying to take you out. And you're kind of left to the elements, if I had to. Yeah.
That's tough. It's a good question. It's tough to do like the off the rails questions because you're trying. I know, and you're trying to be so respectful. But the terrible part of that reality TV show is what happens when the person gets voted off the island. I mean, in this situation, they get shot.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. This was a terrible reality.
Yes.
Like this isn't like it was a fiction book. Like this is
reality.
This is reality.
So imagine your reality shows now, people, because they lived that. They lived that. And if this was an 80s power ballad, what would the title be? Like, or put an 80s power ballad song to underscore this book for you.
I Will Survive. Is that a 80s or is that 70s?
It's 70s, but it's perfect.
Like, as long as I know how to love, I'll stay alive.
I will just go with that. It's a power ballad. Doesn't matter if it's in the 80s or not, because that's a timeless classic.
There you go.
Wow, we're on a disco kick with our music today. On our music today. And you're going to recommend this book or no?
Absolutely.
And who do you think is going to enjoy it the most?
Anybody who has any sort of humanity, but definitely women.
And are you looking forward to reading more from this author?
Depending on what the topic is. Yes, I like her style of writing.
Okay.
I like, that she's going back to the source material. There are a lot of interviews, not really opinion. So she let the story kind of tell itself.
This month, we celebrated the voices of women, those who have shaped history, challenged norms, and left their mark on the world through storytelling. Whether whispered in the dark, written in the margins, or shouted from the rooftops, every woman's story matters. Women, go tell your story. The world is listening.
That's a wrap. Time to close the book on today's episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Casey. If you had fun, hit the like, follow, and subscribe. Make sure you click on the bell icon.
You can also email us at spilledinkinccoffeeshow@gmail.com. Send us your questions, tell us what you're reading, or share what we should dive into.
Until next time, keep your coffee hot
And your pages turning.
Bye, guys.
Spilled ink, endless coffee, and great book chats. That's what we're all about.
If you're enjoying the podcast and want to help fuel our next episode, buy us a coffee.
Click the link in our show notes or bio.
Your support means the world, and every sip keeps the pages turning.
Craving bookish banter? The podcast has heard your request and we are answering the call. Hey book lovers, join the Spilled Ink and Coffee Society. We're a monthly virtual book club, but not your typical one. Every first Sunday of the month, 2-ish to 4-ish, we discuss your favorite books. No assigned reading list here. You read what you want, when you want. It's easy. Bring your favorite read. Physical, digital, audio. Even if you don't keep a book journal or analyze every chapter, just bring the book you loved. And don't forget your favorite drink. As we chat, we laugh, we share. Come for the books, stay for the banter. Invite your friends, bookworms, and fellow story lovers, because the more the merrier. So mark your calendars, grab a book, and join us for the Spilled Ink and Coffee Society. Go to our website, thespilledinkinccoffeeshow.com, and register for free today.